Maybe we can make that lick it off our doctor.
Well, you tell me when, and I'll get money.
Tell you one thing.
I'm kidding.
They need more revenue.
Okay, John.
You guys ready?
Yeah, sure.
I'd like to call to order the regularly scheduled Sylvania Township Trustee meeting for May 2nd at 5 p.m.
Call the roll. Mr. Crandall?
Here.
Mr. Mahoney?
Here.
Mr. Genowine?
Here.
Simcoe, here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We've got the approval of the minutes. We've got 3 meetings. Was everybody present at the special meetings?
No, I
No.
missed the April 24th meeting.
Okay. I've asked Mr. Zeitler for some clarification on the April 18th minutes. So let's do the special meeting of April 26th.
I'll move approval.
26, okay, J.C. And did you second it, John?
Yeah, I'll
26th?
second it.
Okay. I'll call the roll. Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes. And then I'll offer the meeting minutes for the special meeting on April 24th.
Second?
Calling the roll of Mr. Crandall?
Abstain.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes. Okay, we got the preliminary stuff done. Let's get to the oath of office.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As everyone on the board knows, we just had a recent retirement of Chief Kowalski after 39 years on the fire department. And tonight we're going to welcome his replacement. I don't know if he can be replaced, but Kyler's going to do a good job of trying to replace him. So this is Mr. Kyler Omi. Chief Freilich is going to give him the oath of office, and then Chief Nye will then be presenting him his helmet.
Repeat after me. I, Kyler Omi,
I, Kyler Omi,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will obey and support
that I will obey and support
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the laws and revised code of the State of Ohio,
the laws and the revised code of the State of Ohio,
the established laws and ordinances within Sylvania Township,
the established laws and ordinance within Sylvania Township,
the rules and regulations of the Sylvania Township Fire Department,
the rules and regulations of Sylvania Township Fire Department,
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
honestly,
honestly,
and impartially
and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the position of firefighter-paramedic
of the position of firefighter-paramedic
according to all governance
according to all governments
therein to the best of my ability.
therein to the best of my ability.
I take and subscribe
I take and subscribe
this oath
this oath
before the Board of Trustees
before the Board of Trustees
and the Sylvania Township Fire Chief
and Sylvania Township Fire Chief
this second day of May, 2017.
the second day of May 2017.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yep.
That was pretty good up there, Kyler. Congrats, man. Yeah.
Yep.
Best wishes.
Double handshake.
Okay, and we're actually on the docket for 2 tonight. Tonight we will be giving the oath and pinning the deputy chief badge on Chris Nye this evening. So if his wife Barb could come on up, she's going to do the pinning. And I'm going to read to you, but I'm not going to be as fast as Mr. Genowine was for me. Because that was pretty fast. Well, it wasn't really fast. It was more words than I could comprehend at the time, I think. All right, raise your right hand, Chris. I, Christopher Nye,
I, Christopher Nye,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the
the United States,
the laws and revised code
the laws and revised code
of the State of
of
Ohio,
the State of Ohio,
the established laws and ordinances
the established laws and ordinances
within Sylvania Township,
within Sylvania Township,
and the rules and regulations
and the rules and regulations
of the Sylvania Township Fire
of the
Department.
Sylvania Township Fire Department.
I will faithfully,
I will faithfully,
honestly,
honestly,
and impartially
and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of Deputy Chief
of Deputy Chief
of the Sylvania Township Fire
of the
Department.
Sylvania Township Fire Department.
I pledge to lead to the best of my ability,
Pledge to lead to the best of my ability,
with integrity
with integrity
and with honor,
and with honor,
courage,
courage,
and
and
dedication.
dedication.
I will uphold the mission,
I will uphold the mission,
values,
values,
and philosophies
and philosophies
of the Fire Department.
of the Fire Department.
I recognize the badge of Deputy Chief
I recognize the badge of Deputy Chief
as a symbol of the Sylvania Township Fire Department
as a symbol of the Sylvania Township Fire Department
and the public faith and trust
and the public faith and trust
of the Sylvania community,
of the Sylvania community,
and I take
and I take
and subscribe
and subscribe
this oath before the Board of Trustees
this oath before the Board of Trustees
in the Sylvania community
and the Sylvania community,
the second day of May,
the second day of May,
2017.
2017.
Congratulations. He's giving orders already. I didn't say that one. Thank you, Barb. Give me a kiss. All right.
Okay, thanks.
Congrats, Chris. Yeah, absolutely.
Chris, well done. Congratulations.
I'm not going to take up too much more time, but I did want to say thank you to the board and to the community for allowing us to promote Chris. He's going to be a huge, huge asset at the administrative level, so thank you guys very much.
Hey, Barb, putting that pin on that flower, it looked like my son's flower, like for homecoming, you know? Well, great job. Congratulations.
If you guys don't mind, we're going to go...
No, leave. Thanks for coming, everybody. Thanks for coming. See you, Mayor. Have a good night.
You're welcome to stay.
Take care. Have a great night. Yeah.
Congratulations to you.
Good luck. Hey, Rob. Hey, Sarah. Dave, how much time we'll talk?
Hey, John, you got a non-agenda, gentleman's case, so that's not till the end of the meeting.
Okay.
It's nice, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh, for sure.
Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Yes, I have one addition under executive session. It'll be union negotiations with the Teamsters.
Yeah, okay. Hearing of the public, we have people signed in for non-agenda items, so they will go at the end of the meeting. I don't believe we've got anybody for agenda items. So that brings up Darrell.
Good evening. I have several items tonight. The first item is a public hearing for the text amendment to Article 22, Section 2217 ponds.
So I was talking with Mr. Simcoe, and I thought that I would read the request, open it up for public hearing, and if you need to respond to anything, then we would close the public hearing and then do the resolution for the things. So at this time, Section 2217 ponds. The request is to amend the Sylvania Township zoning resolution to reduce the minimum lot size required for residential ponds and establish a 50-foot rear setback. I would like at this time, do I state the time or just open a public?
Just open the public hearing, 5 after 10, or 10 after 5.
I would like to open it up to the public at 5:10 for any comments, pro or con. Seeing none, I would like to close the public hearing and offer resolution 17-042, authorize approval of text amendment regarding Article 22, Section 2217 ponds.
Second?
Calling the roll, Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Thank you.
I would like to offer the request, Section 2219, RVs and utility equipment. We would like to request or amend the Sylvania Township zoning resolution to clarify the regulations regarding storage of recreational vehicles and utility equipment. I would like to open the meeting for public feedback at 5:12. Seeing none, I would close the public hearing and offer resolution
17044.
17044 to authorize the approval of text amendment regarding Article 22, Section 229, recreational vehicle utility equipment.
Second.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Thank you.
I would like to offer proposed text amendment, Section 3104, political signs. The request is to amend the Sylvania Township zoning resolution to eliminate the removal requirement of political signs 7 days following the election. At 5:13, I would like to open the meeting up for public input. Seeing none, I would like to close the public hearing and offer resolution 17-045, authorize approval of text amendment regarding Article 31, Section 3104, political signs.
Second?
Calling the roll, Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Thank you. Then my next resolution is 17046, approve appointment to Board of Zoning Appeals. We have a vacancy on the Board of Zoning Appeals due to the resignation of a regular member. I would like to see our alternate member, Greg Lamanna, brought up to a regular member for the term, the rest of the term, January 1st, 2017 through December 31st, 2021.
I'll offer resolution 17046, approving the appointment to the Board of Zoning Appeals, Greg Lamanna.
Second.
Call the roll, Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Thank you. And my last resolution is 17047, approve appointment of alternate to the Board of Zoning Appeals, with bringing Greg Lamanna up to as a regular board member. That leaves the alternate position open, and I would like to see Jason Levine appointed to that position. And that is a one-year position through the end of the year, December 31st.
I'll offer resolution 17047, approve the appointment of the alternate board being Jason Levine.
Second.
Call the roll of Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Thank you.
Hey, Darrell, I do have one question on the pond.
Sure.
I know we, in the last couple of years, and I can't remember, not that we would know or remember to have, but some of the folks that did apply for a variance on the pond size relative to the acreage, is there, do we have a history of those folks that we can let them know that there was a change?
Right, we plan on doing that.
Okay, great.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Rob?
Evening, I have two items. First item is Resolution 17043. The heading, part of the heading is missing, but it's in the text. It's a request to participate in ODOT annual winter salt bid. Sorry about the all the language in there, but it's a requirement from ODOT. That exact language is on the resolution. But the key word there is 500 tons that I'm requesting as part of the salt bid for winter.
What's the tonnage cost per year in this year?
It was ranging from $44 to $60, depending on
We were,
location.
45 last year, something like that?
Yeah. I think we topped out at about 119 in 2013, 14,
Yep.
and it's gone back down.
Okay.
I'll move Resolution 14043 to participate in the ODOT Winter Salt Co-op Program.
Second? Mr. Dunaway?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
The second item I have, thank you, the second item I have was just a map. I don't know if, do you have it up there?
I'm rebooting mine.
Oh. You know I was going to do that.
You want to give us a quick verbal?
Yeah, it's basically a map. There was a lot of questioning going on, what was going on with the King Road landfill over there off of King. And I have a map here. I could basically pass it. You can take a look at it. Can't get it up.
Thanks, Rob.
The county subcontracted out some remediation work. Basically what they're doing is they're clearing the fence line, the current fence line, the wooded area around that fence line on the inside of the partition. And the Western Railroad right-of-way still exists on the north side of that facility, and they cleared a pathway for future use for the bike path. So the bike path would cross King Road and continue through the north side. It's not actually in the landfill, but what they did is prepared for it for when funding is available through the Bikeways program, so they can pave that. And yeah, there you go, if you can blow it up. They put a fence on the north side of it and on the south side, new installation on the south side. And then they're removing some wells, some monitoring wells, and installing some additional wells. So this would be a future parking lot right here, very similar to the one that's on McCord Road now, where you can go and park and get on your bike and head on the bike trail there. But this is all tentative, but it is prepared for when the funding is available. And just over here to the west edge is 10 Mile Creek, and that is part of the 10 Mile Creek project as well. So there's a potential to tie this this proposed bike path here into the proposed bike path that will run along the top of 10 Mile Creek. So that's more of a long-term planning, but they are doing some of the groundwork now to prepare for that. So that's what's going on in that facility. Any questions?
How many acres is that landfill, that area, do you know?
I have no idea. Not off the top of my head.
30-ish?
I think a little bigger than that, because they got the piece across from the borrow pit. That's part of it too.
Yeah, that's all part of the property, but this is the only part that they're working in right here. They cleared the fence line all along here on the inside and put a stone roadway in to provide better access to those monitoring wells and to be able to remove and install new ones. They also removed some sort of gas well that was in there as well. Not sure what it was about, but just to give an update and to keep you informed on what's going on over there.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
That's all I have. Any questions?
We've had the fire department. Any questions for Chief Boney? Chief Boney, you have any comments? That way brings up the administration. I have one. It's a request for a liquor permit. The new place is going to be called Chubby's. I think you probably knew it as Max and Irma's on Central Avenue there. We have letters from the police and fire that they have no issue with issuing the liquor permit, and once again, this is one of those where if you take no action, that will be issued. Okay, hearing none, then I'll turn it over to the fiscal officer, Mr. Simcoe.
I have a couple things. The first is Resolution 17-048. And we did this at our last meeting. We trying to get some additional money into the computer services fund so we don't have to keep coming back each meeting, as we get little bills coming in. And so we put $5,000, if you remember at the last meeting, into this computer services account. Then we got in a bill for $6,000 for a new server out at the fire department. And so, which part of these things, part of it, half I think, is being paid by the general fund and half by the fire fund. So this time we thought, rather than having to come back each meeting and me explaining this, we thought we'd put $10,000 into the computer services fund. We have some new computer systems, and it seems like every time in my office anyway, I get these things, I think it's going to save me money in my office, and it seems to be costing me more and more. It doesn't end. But I think as we're working through some of this will settle down, but we need to get some extra money in there so we're not coming back. So that's the resolution, 17-048.
I'll offer resolution 17-048, appropriation from unencumbered balances.
Second.
Now call the roll, Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
And Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
And I mentioned one more thing. I wanted to mention that there was a person that was very supportive. Maggie Whitman passed away, and she was very important, or a very big supporter of our fire department. She was 88 years old. She was kind of an activist in the Sylvania community. Her husband, Bill Whitman, was one of our early volunteer firemen. Well, I didn't really know him, but understand he was an interesting guy, and probably was here when there was a half a dozen people, in the fire department, and there were no paid firemen, and Maggie was a big supporter of the fire department then, and always was, and she had relocated to Indianapolis to be near her son, but again, was a big supporter of the fire department, and she passed away. So just note that, I think,
Thanks,
for our
Dan.
record.
Yep.
Well put.
And that's really all I have.
Okay. Thank you. Open discussion. You guys have anything?
No.
No. Hearing of the public, non-agenda items. Mr. Wright? So if you know the routine, name and address. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Just catch this guy here.
I'm going to let Debbie go first, discussing the issue of the motorcycles,
Oh, yeah.
the noise, and everything else on Eisler and abuts Kings Hall.
Okay, and I'm Debbie Dolgen. You want my address too? 7540 Hollow Creek. Do you need any more? Okay, I have written mine because I tend to get upset, so I thought I'd be better off if I just write my part of it. I've lived in my home for 20 years and have always eagerly awaited summer and the opportunity to enjoy my yard, deck, and the peace and solace of the outdoors. This year, as summer approaches, I dread the horrendous noise and exhaust fumes from the motorcycle track behind my house. I understand the rights of a homeowner to do what he wants with his property, but when it infringes so tremendously on so many neighbors, it cannot continue. Mr. Komisarek has grown up in that house, and we have always been disturbed by several instances of the activity, but they were short and infrequent. As you all know, in the past few years, the frequency and intensity have increased to a degree that it simply is not acceptable. We as homeowners also have rights, and they are not being protected by you, our township leaders. None of you have even been out to hear what we're living with, which I feel is the least that you can do. I know that you would understand our dilemma if you could experience it. If the noise ordinance is not definitive, then it needs to be defined. With today's technology, there has to be a way to measure noise decibels. Several weeks ago, after listening to 5 motor vehicles from 2 to 6 o'clock, I called the police. The noise continued until dark, roughly 8 o'clock. The officer who came out claimed that he didn't hear the noise in the 3 minutes that he reported being there. I did not see when he came, but my neighbor told me later that they were out there riding at the time he was there. When I questioned the chief about this, he didn't have an explanation for it, and he believed the officer, but he did admit that some of the officers might be more sympathetic to Mr. Komisarek than they are to us. Mr. Komisarek has repeatedly shown no consideration for any of us. One neighbor has gone over to his house and asked him nicely to stop, including the day that I mentioned, and he pays no attention. I am seriously considering moving, but who will buy my house? I would certainly have to disclose this. You might want to consider how the manner in which you, as township officials, handle this situation with regard to potential residents, as well as the negative publicity it could bring. I have shared the situation with people, and the response is always the same. They just can't believe that he's allowed to continue to do this. Somebody sent me an article that was in the Blade in 2010 having to do with some noise at the time, and Mr. Genowine, you were even quoted in the article. And in it, it says, current township law forbids any, and this is in quotes, any loud, unnecessary, or unusual noise or noises of such character, intensity, or duration that annoy, disturb, or endanger the peace, health, comfort, safety, or repose of reasonable persons of ordinary sensibilities at such volume which is plainly audible at a distance of 150 feet or more from the source of the noise or sound. I rest my case.
Thank you, by the way.
Thanks, Debbie. My name is Rob Wright, and my address is 7532 Hollow Creek. We are neighbors. And I ask for your indulgence. I did not have the opportunity to type this, so I'm trying to read my own handwriting. That's a challenge. On February 24th, I left signed copies for each trustee and Chief Boney of the proposed agreement between the residents of Kings Hollow and Mr. Greg Komisarek, who lives on Heisler Road. Mr. Komisarek is the owner of the property with the offensive off-road vehicles that we have repeatedly complained about due to the noise and exhaust fumes. I'm assuming that a copy was delivered to Mr. Komisarek for his signature, and to date I have not received any follow-up confirmation, nor any contact regarding the status of the document. That's what I gave you all. I assume you got the one that I left in February, correct? Okay. This document was prepared as a result of the meeting at the township offices and included Mr. Komisarek and his representatives, neighbors from Kings Hollow, Chief Boney, township officials, and myself. The meeting was called by Chief Boney to negotiate and establish a fair and equitable opportunity for Mr. Komisarek to utilize his vehicles on select Sundays during limited hours. I prepared the terms of the agreement in a discussion with Chief Boney and sought thoughts from the other Kings Hollow neighbors, and the document you see was what was approved, with no objections. As I stated, I do not have a signed copy from Mr. Komisarek for any suggested changes. Please note the months listed are March through October. While on vacation, I received a message from Mrs. Dolgen that Mr. Komisarek and friends had taken advantage of the agreement and operated the offending vehicles most of the day on a Sunday in March until dark, and there was no notification to Chief Boney nor the Kings Hollow residents. The police were called and visited our street and reported no noise. We find that hard to understand. Now we understand that Mr. Komisarek has applied for and received a noise exemption permit to operate his vehicles on May 14th, which is Mother's Day, and this was granted. His original time frame request was from 11 a.m. until dark. It was amended from noon until 5 and then until 6 p.m. Both times are outside the 4 p.m. time frame that we proposed, and that was never challenged. My original notes when we had our meeting also indicate that 4 o'clock was the time that we had all tentatively agreed to. Here are questions, concerns, and requests. Number one, why was our proposal not returned signed nor countered with alternative suggestions? Without any rebuttal, we assumed it was agreed to. Mr. Komisarek violated the good faith terms proposed on a Sunday in March without any permit request, and he was not cited, as far as I know. So the agreement that we had that he was supposed to get a noise permit, he didn't get it. Okay? He didn't apply for it. He just took advantage of us, Chief, and everybody else to do his own thing on that Sunday in March. Why was the time frame outside of the limits? And I have a kind of an odd request. The documents I gave you, I would like you all to sign those, and on your signature, return to me what time on May 14th you'd like to come out and witness the noise and the fumes that we experience. It's not fun. It's ongoing. It never stops. You just can't enjoy the day. We are again requesting, as we did during our first trustee meeting in November, that you either enforce the current noise ordinance, amend it to exclude off-road vehicles from private property within the township. As Mr. Komisarek in March openly violated and disregarded the good faith proposal we delivered for review in February, the trustees should withdraw and void the noise exclusion granted to him for May 14th. Thank you. Questions? Answers?
I have a question. Chief, I asked last month publicly here where we were at with this project, and you, again, not putting you on the spot here, but I was under the assumption everything was great. And then I see you guys here today, and, I mean, if you could help.
Honestly, I'm surprised that they're here too, okay? As far as I'm concerned, okay, that March incident, it's a 20-year veteran officer, okay, that reported that he did not hear the noise. Okay.
I get that. My question was, a month ago, I asked you, and I said, hey, first of all, Debbie, it is on our radar, because we publicly brought it up, and I said, where are we at with Kings Hollow? Okay, so I don't want you to think we're not ignoring it, okay? That's most important. I don't want you to think that. And I don't mean to put you on the spot. When I asked you the question was, where are we at with Kings Hollow? And I got the impression we're all set. When I see these guys coming here, I'm like, we're not all set.
Well, I believe we're all set too.
Well, okay.
He filed for an exemption, as he was required to do for May 14th.
Okay.
Mr. Wright did propose that I pull that May 14th exemption as a result of what happened in March. But number one, an officer didn't hear the noise for us to be able to write a violation, okay, a citation. Okay. And we're not gonna pull, I don't believe it's a good precedent to go ahead and pull an exemption that's already been approved subsequent to when it was approved.
Okay, let's put that off to the side just for a second. Okay. My question was, are we all set? And we don't have Greg's signature.
Well, Neil, I don't know if it's our law enforcement to get involved in their contract. I don't know if that's it. I think it's more of a question for Burrell or someone like that.
All right. Okay.
I would think, and I've always been a little bit confused whether this is a zoning issue or whether it is a law enforcement issue. So, I think that's where it has slipped through the cracks. We've looked at both sides of it and where do we end with this, but we were told at our last meeting that an agreement had been reached.
That's
on
right.
Things, and I don't believe it's the chief's responsibility to get it signed. And I think we're all caught off guard here that it wasn't signed by both parties.
I signed it.
I said both parties. I see your signature, and again, we've tried to work with you and figure this situation out.
There was no discussion that he had to sign this agreement that Mr. Wright typed up. Mr. Wright typed this up independently, okay? He consulted with me, okay, but he typed it up independently. And I think and I've talked about this before, there is nothing binding in this thing, okay? It's a proposal that we agreed to in that meeting, but to make somebody sign it, that's ludicrous.
He was Chief. He was involved in the meeting and agreed that we would have a document, and he didn't sign it. I mean, in good faith, we shook hands. Hey, okay, we shook hands. We're going to do this. We're going to offer limited times, 5 Sundays. I thought that was the understanding. Whether it's an agreement or an understanding, I don't care what you call it.
We agreed to the terms at that meeting, but there was no specified requirement for him to sign it. And even if he does sign it, it's not a binding contract, okay? And, you know, I sympathize with you. I want you to.
I don't want you to think I'm throwing.
One way or the other, we put an end.
I know you have, and I have too.
Mrs. Golchin.
So have we.
A
Think I
lot.
want to be here?
Okay, a lot in trying to resolve this issue. And I'll tell you where we are, okay? Where we're at is, he will get, if he files for an exemption in June, if he files for an exemption in July, we agreed to like about five exemptions during the course of the warm weather season. You can't cite somebody for a noise ordinance violation if you give him an exemption. And that's what we agreed to. If he operates those outside, if he has multiple bites and there's a complaint outside those specified dates he filed for an exemption, provided the officer goes over there and hears it, because it's just like a traffic ticket. It's weaker than a traffic ticket because at least that goes through the courts and it's a traffic criminal thing. This is all civil, but we can still go ahead and file the violation, okay, file the citation, it'll be up to the township to pursue it through small claims court if he fights it, okay, because it is civil. But we'll go ahead and write the citation, and I've told Mr. Wright, and I think I've told Mrs. Golchin too, that this is a test case, okay? Honestly, I don't know that a court is gonna back us writing the citation, okay? And that's why there's probably a reluctance on even officers' parts to write the citation. No cop likes to write a ticket or make an arrest and have the court overturned, okay? And that's understandable because we lose credibility that way. But I've warned, I don't know which way it'll go, okay? But I've warned Mr. Wright and Mrs. Golchin that if it goes and the court does not back us up, okay, then you've lost a lot of leverage in pursuing this civil, okay? And it won't be through us, it'll have to obviously be through them filing some kind of a lawsuit or whatever, okay? You know, the passage that I think Mrs. Golchin read, okay, that supposedly was a quote from you, Mr. Genowine.
No, it wasn't his quote. He was quoted in the article with something else. That was not his quote.
Okay, well, I'm saying that language is exactly, believe me, I know the language very well. That's exactly the way the noise resolution reads. But see, the problem is, we're back to that, this is what I talked to you about, the reasonable standard. What's reasonable at midnight or 11 o'clock at night?
You've got to decide.
Is different than what's reasonable at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, you know, the court's got a way to think about this. The court's got a way, this guy on 3 acres or whatever, okay, using his own property, riding, you know, having people ride mini bikes that I wouldn't want behind my house. I've admitted that to you guys, okay? But using his own property, riding those bikes, you know, I don't want to get into too many explanations here. If those mufflers were altered on those bikes, okay, so that they were louder, if they weren't factory exhaust, it's covered in no noise resolution. We could write it and not think twice about it. But the officers have checked them, they're all manufacturer's specs, they're all, you know, they have not been altered. And so it comes down, the whole question of this thing of what the court's going to rule on is what's reasonable. And they're going to take into account time of day, they're going to take into account all that such. And I know we talked about it when we were, when Mr. Zeitler was at that meeting too, and Mr. Burrell was at that meeting, giving us legal consultation, okay? I would just assume, to be honest with you, I'll go on the record as saying, I would just assume have a certain decibel level, okay, like you referred to. Because, you know, it does make it very specific, okay, if it's over 100 decibels, okay, we can write. That would make it a whole lot easier for us, okay? But I also will tell you that, you know, legal counsel, and I heard this in the past when I've been dealing with this since 2005. Tim Greenwood wrote it, okay? He was the attorney, the solicitor at the time back in 2005. And there's a reluctance to go with a decibel level, okay? I don't know all the details on that, but there is a reluctance legally to go that route. It would make it easier for us. So with having that said, we're down to the reasonable standard, okay? What's reasonable, what's not reasonable, you know? And without getting off on too much of a tangent, some criminal laws, like disorderly conduct, what we tolerate from one person, okay, may be completely different based on many different factors from what we'll tolerate from another before we make an arrest on disorderly conduct. And that's what this deal is. Believe me, I empathize with them. I wouldn't want that behind me either.
You haven't even heard it. If you ever heard it. That's all, and that's what we're asking. Come out and hear what we're dealing with, because you can't even imagine. You just can't.
Well, perhaps, but see, and I didn't tell you guys that come May 14th, I can come out and hear it. Now, I'm told by commissary that you'll have more bikes out there and there'll be louder bikes, so May 14th may not be a good gauge. Okay?
We've had them all before, though.
Oh, okay, okay.
Trust me, he's
Okay.
got multiple bikes.
But the bottom line is, where I'm prepared to go, and I've mentioned this to you guys, and I've also told the other deputy chief that, you know, if he operates outside those dates that he applies for an exemption, let's go ahead and write the darn citation and send it to court. Let the court decide on what they want to do with it. You know, like I said, it's going to be up to the township to pursue it, you know, with John Burrell Services or whomever. But the one thing I don't want, and what is actually happening here, and it's the one thing I don't want, is I don't want anybody accusing, I'm pretty proud of this police department. I don't want anybody accusing this police department of not doing their job, okay?
Well, here's my, I was out of town, so I have no idea. I mean, Debbie reported to me, I know he was about this. Why didn't the officer get out of the car, knock on the door, and walk back there like the other officers have done when I've asked him out? That would not have been that much of a challenge for him to get out of the car and say, I'm here, you called, I want to go back there, let's all witness it together.
All I can surmise is he did not hear it from the street, so he told me, and this is a 19-year vet, okay, that has never had an issue with the department, so he's very credible.
It may have been a time where they stopped and had dinner or whatever.
I think it might have been.
That's possible, that's very possible.
He stopped at about 6 o'clock, we talked about that.
He stopped for about a
But
half
your neighbor
hour.
said that they
My
were-
neighbor, and I don't know, maybe she's wrong, but she said she looked out, the police car was there, she was hearing the noise, and trust me, there's no way he could have been on the street and not heard it. You can't be on Bancroft and not hear this noise. You know.
So, you know, if he had a 3 minutes while they were having their, whatever it is that they had for dinner, and nothing happened, that's possible. Because I've witnessed where they've stopped. But the stoppages are far few than the frequency and the annoyance that we're faced with.
You know, we wouldn't-
It's a challenge, I mean,
If he had been out there for a couple hours, I wouldn't have called. I would have been happy it was a couple hours and it was over. It just goes on and on and on for hours on end, loud, annoying, smelly, and he just doesn't have any consideration. Even our neighbor walked over on this particular day and asked him nicely to please stop. It had been 4 hours or whatever, and he just ignored it. You know, what is that about?
Well, you know, like I told you, you know, if it's outside, if we observe it to be, if we observe the noise and it's unreasonable, okay, and it's outside those hours, I've already actually showed you the memo, a very long memo that I wrote to my road patrol, okay? We get a complaint from the owner, they call me. You know, Mother's Day is gonna be an exception.
We know.
Okay?
We know.
But if we get a complaint on another Sunday or any other day, for that matter, okay, they're calling me. Now, you know, I have a life outside this place too, but if I'm available, and I'm available most of the time, I get a lot of calls from the police department, okay? I will come over and I'll write excuse my language, I'll write the damn citation myself if I have to, because I would rather write the citation and, excuse my language, but dump it in the court's lap for them to decide. That way, nobody can make an accusation, and I'm not faulting you, but nobody can say the police department didn't do their job.
well, here's another question. He has a permission to do this on the 14th, and this is something that I didn't think about all this. How many bikes can he have? An unlimited, he could have 20 bikes out there.
We didn't limit it, but you know what, a noise exemption, I mean, think of the people that live close to Centennial Terrace when we grant those exemptions, or, you know, other type exemptions. And I understand where you're coming from, when we're talking about potentially 5 dates, 6
No.
dates.
What I'm saying is, if he's got 10 to 15 bikes out there between 11 and 6, all day, all the time, that's excessive. I'm sorry, but that's excessive.
Well, that's,
So he has the permission to operate his vehicles, but, have a little respect for those people around us, around him. He doesn't, so-
So what we're asking is come up with a law, come up with a decibel level, or whatever you have to do.
It's,
You're right, it's subjective, but that's not fair. That's,
well, criminal law is written that way too, so, I mean,
well, and my feeling is, if he is abusing it, and he gets cited a few times and has to pay some money, maybe he would start being a little more considerate. I don't know. But what really I'm asking is make a law, and let's...
amend the current law to shut them down. Void, you can't operate ATVs within the township. Simple, on private property.
And along with that, please come out and hear it, because I think you'll understand if you hear what we're talking about. I don't know, everybody is like imagining this is really not such a problem. And if I want to sell my house, do I have to disclose that this guy's behind me? Can you answer that?
we're talking 6 dates in a 6-month period.
I wouldn't have an open house on a Sunday, I'll tell you that.
No, I mean,
So we don't have, this is basically a waste of time, what I wrote up.
Pardon me?
This is a waste of time, what I wrote up.
No, it's not a waste of time.
Yeah, but he didn't sign it, he has no, well,
You can't force it. It's
Mr.
a
Wright.
binding contract.
I sat in, yes, I sat in on the meeting. I never heard him agree to sign this document. Did agree on the permit.
We didn't require...
And you've issued one permit. Nothing has happened yet.
well,
You're
okay,
insane.
well, then we did waste our time.
What if?
We did waste our time, because obviously he did it on a Sunday in March without any advance request, so now he wants to put it in May. I'm done.
And for the record, Chief, my tone was inappropriate, but it's not, it was more because I asked the question and here they're back. And I'm not upset with, I didn't want you to think I'm mad at you. I'm just more of I'm as frustrated as you guys are about this. And you know what? I'd love to go to the head, get to a head, and you guys have brought your attorneys here in the past. You've got who's your
Steve Collier.
Steve, he's an attorney, right?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, okay, I thought he was representing you. Okay.
We have retained no representation.
Okay.
Anything we've done, we've done.
I mean,
We can't make I mean, I guess, we're in a bad spot too, because we can't just like make up these laws out of the sky and make a law. I can't.
Daryl, could you work with John Burrell and look around the state, certainly surrounding communities, and see if anybody has a decibel level that, is enforceable and is working well in those communities first, and see if they're all as vague as us. I think that's the place to start, to see, let's see what other people are doing, and see if we can't adapt it to what we have here. And I think it would start in zoning, and then the enforcement would go to our law enforcement. So,
Does the city of Sylvania have anything, do we know?
Toledo does.
Toledo does?
can you look into that and see what's out there and kind of get back to the board, and then, it is ambiguous and it is difficult, like you say.
It will be a zoning, because we can't make traffic laws, but the city of Sylvania, and I don't know what they have, the city of Toledo, their municipality, they can make a law that says X.
Yeah.
We have no right to pass any traffic laws, we have to go by the state, but we do have right zoning, which is civil, as he said, and then, eventually, if he doesn't stop, it's going to come down and let the court decide whether say we put an X decimal, and I'm agree with him 100%, I'm saying let the court, and we put an S decimal, and they go to court, and the court says, I'm sorry, but that's too low.
Yeah.
Or they'll say, that's perfect, you're in violation, pay the $150, whatever the fine is.
Can I ask who makes the laws then?
For townships?
Yeah.
The state of Ohio.
So maybe there's a state law,
There
there's
is
no
no state
state
law.
law in effect for
And
that.
Springfield Township doesn't even have a noise resolution. They're discussing and acting one, okay? But if it's-
Well, that'd be through zoning, too.
Yeah, I mean, no, we enforce state laws in most townships. You have to be a home rule township to even do a resolution. That was discussed 10 years ago.
zoning to ban ATVs within the township limits.
Well, I mean, there's people that have property that want to have some fun on their property. I mean, I'm
And
not sure,
maintenance,
you
I mean,
know.
creekies and things
Yeah,
like
I mean,
that,
but you can't do that. I mean,
but I think,
Recreational ATVs.
well, I don't know. I mean, I think and with all due respect, I think we've kind of given you the answer. We're not the lawmakers up front. We're in charge of police, fire, roads, cemeteries. I mean, we can't, and some zoning, but we don't write, the state is our Bible. It's what we learn from and what the direction that we get from them. We can't, believe me, I feel terrible for you. I'm not trying to be coarse or, you know.
we have no legal recourse?
well, let's try to go down the route to see if there's anything out there that is standing up in court.
Right.
And then we'll
Dale-
try to adapt that to your situation and move forward with that. But again, like we said, we don't make the laws, we make resolutions and zoning codes and.
I'll have Daryl work with Burrell on that.
Yep.
In the meantime, if they go outside of when they have the exemption, the chief said he would come over there, if he gets notified, he comes over there and hears it, he'll write them a ticket. Is it a ticket or whatever it's called? Citation, and they'll go to court. But, so we will, if he is outside the exemption, and we get a police officer over there, and the chief said he would come, and he hears it, he'll write him up.
So is there a way that we could maybe, without too much pressure, because I appreciate your guys' time coming out of where you're working or coming home from where you might be from to come here tonight, is this something we can get done in 2 weeks? Daryl, I mean, I'm kind of putting you on the spot with this, but this has been dragging on for 4 or 5 months now.
A year.
Is it a year? Wow.
Well, we first came in November.
Yeah.
It's been going on. We started making.
So, but you came in November, so we're 4 or 5 months into it.
It's just getting worse and worse,
Yeah.
and I think we've talked about, I think he's trying to annoy us at times. I mean, I
Well,
think
that
he's
certainly has come to my
reactive.
mind a few times when you describe the situation. I mean, it's just unfortunate sometimes when people know they're under your skin, they press a little harder and,
I know.
yes.
I still have the videos of it, I believe, about the year.
Well, and I'm gonna.
I think I've heard them.
Some more.
Relay them for us.
But I really highly encourage you, just drive by on May 14th during those hours and listen to it, and you will understand.
Matter of fact, you can stop by, bring your own sandwiches, because I don't want to
I'm
be accused
ready
of
for
offering
lunch.
anybody food to our side of the
I'm ready for
store.
lunch on the 14th, but sit in the back and see how.
But we have a permit on that day, right?
You can have a permit on that day, so there's nothing we're gonna do.
No, but you can hear what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Hear what it's.
And if it's annoying, then you don't grant any more permits.
One thing I will mention, I don't know if I mentioned it to you, but you know, I called him on this, okay? Okay?
I know you're trying, you know.
And he said it was his 11-year-old son's birthday party, and it was 5 bikes, I think, or whatever. He said like 3 of the bikes were under 50 cc's, they were the small bikes, like we talked about in that meeting, okay, that aren't as loud. And he didn't even think about calling for an exemption, because it was his 11-year-old son's birthday party, and the bikes were smaller out there. But, you know, that's what he says, okay? I will tell you that, you know, we need to be prepared, because this guy is a guy that I can't disclose what other things he's been involved in, but he is one that doesn't have a lot of respect for the law, okay, and the courts, okay? And so he will fight anything and everything, as much as his checking account will allow.
Does he ride right up next to the property lines? Is there any way to put a buffer there or something that?
Yeah, I mean, the whole wall. Seems to be a
theme going these days?
I mean, it's just, even if you put a buffer, and maybe there were 3 bikes and 2 small vehicles. You put them all together, it's loud.
Yeah.
You know, you have one person singing, you have the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, you tell me who's louder.
You know, we're in our house with the windows shut, and it's still loud. So imagine if we're trying to be outside and enjoy the day, you know, or I want to have company, God, you know, I can't even do that. It's,
Please come by May 14th.
yeah.
Bring your own food, I don't want to be like this.
So let's get at the conclusion of this, John, is you
Well, I'm
think we're
hoping
gonna
that
get,
Daryl will take the lead
Okay.
and see what other communities have and see what's around the state, if there's none locally, in terms of a decibel limit. And then we put that into our noise resolution, and then I think we've got a starting point to start writing the citations. I think, like the chief said, you know, the reasonable is very vague, and the reasonable to each officer is going to vary, and to the chief and to any one of us. So let's see what's out there. Let's see if we can't put a number on that, and then we got something in the sand that we can say, hey, you know, that's a violation, and see if that holds up in the courts.
You're Darryl?
Yes.
Okay. And your position is?
So,
Okay. And you will do that.
yeah.
Yes, we'll do.
Do you have, can you forward,
Well, I mean, the noise resolution is in zoning, so I guess I'm a little confused on this, but I'll check with Pharrell and what the chief.
Yeah.
I guess one question I have is, where does the noise resolution come from in the first place? Yeah, the police. How did that?
Back in 2005, Tim Greenwood was the solicitor at that time, and it was his office that wrote it up, and we've had difficulties enforcing it in the past, too, but,
We can do some research on
yeah,
that.
they
Find out.
just, you know, it was, they put it in the police department's laps and enforce it, I will say that.
I think that was more village in driven and things of that nature back then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what I read about current township law, I don't know how that could be treated. You know, loud, unusual noise that annoy, disturbs, endangers the peace, health, comfort, safety, or repose of reasonable people of ordinary sensibilities, which I think we are, plus all the rest of our neighbors.
Reasonable is the key word there.
Excuse me.
And like, you know, if he hears the noise, we'll cite him, but the court will then interpret what that means, and like I said, they can say guilty, pay the fine, or he can say, you know, you have a right to do that, it's not on you, I'm just saying that, I'm not a lawyer, but he has made the commitment that if this guy's out besides his exemption time, get a hold of the chief, and if he hears it, he'll cite him.
I know a little bit about it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys, appreciate your effort.
With no further people signed in, I would like to offer a motion to go into an executive session at 5:58 to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, or the investigation of charges of complaints against a public employee official as authorized by the Ohio Revised Code, and to also prepare for, conduct, or review negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment as authorized by the Ohio Revised Code 121.22.
Second.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes. I'd like to offer a motion to come out of executive session at 6:33.
Second?
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes. I'd like to offer Resolution 17-050. Trustees will accept the fact finder report from Richard Trapinski, which recommends a 2% increase retroactive to first pay period in January, 2% in January in 2018, 2% January of 2019. All other economics are to be made effective upon ratification.
Second?
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes. I'd like to offer Resolution 17-049 to extend offer of employment for HR Director position. Whereas due to the upcoming retirement of Susan Wood, the Board of Trustees has interviewed 1 internal candidate and 4 external candidates for the Assistant Administrator/HR Director position. Now therefore be it resolved by the trustees of Sylvania Township, Lucas County, Ohio, that an offer to be extended to Janet Ontko for the position of HR Director at a rate of $60,000 per year, and be it further resolved that this offer is contingent upon the passage of a post-offer physical, drug, alcohol, and nicotine screening.
Second?
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes. I would like a motion to adjourn at 6:35.
Second?
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
All right, thanks, everybody.